first of all, thank you, Trey. Appreciate you just helping me get all this stuff figured out. And Sonia is one of my friends, who's also one of my clients, and I've had the opportunity to help her and her family with the sale and purchase of homes. So thank you for inviting me. So before I get started, if you will, if you got a pen, I want you to write this down because I will forget it. I am in the middle of a transition myself, business-wise, and so my old business card is no longer applying because I'm going to be guilty. If you want to find me, though, I have a website. It's www.markkelly.org. So you can find just about anything you need to know about me on that website. There is a little place if you want to learn about my job as a realtor. You can click on the realtor tab and get all my information. It's got my phone number and all that stuff. So I apologize if I don't have any cards to give y'all today, and I'd love to be able to work with some of y'all or any of your friends or family if you all have any real estate. But I want to tell you today about the FriendMaker thing. First, I want to start out though. What is this? Pineapple. So the pineapple is an interesting symbol. I'd be curious to know, when you see a pineapple, what's the thought that you have in your mind about the symbol that you see? No holds barred. I want to hear what everybody thinks. Yeah.
Swingers.
Number one answer, for some reason right now, the number one answer is swingers.
If you have a pineapple on your front door,
So let me just let the elephant is now full in front of the room, right? This is not that kind of FriendMaker. That's not what this is about. Actually, something very interesting about the pineapple. Pineapple was actually discovered in the Western world by Christopher Columbus about a year after he sailed the ocean blue and the whatever. What is it? Something? History. Yes, we're all so good in our history. John, anyway, but what happened was they landed, of course, in the Caribbean, and what they call it the West Indies, which we now know is probably somewhere in one of those little islands in the Caribbean. And about a year after they landed, they actually discovered this really interesting fruit that was very sweet, and it had this really cool crown on it. It was just this really cool-looking, unique fruit. They'd never experienced this before. The Western world was Europe at the time, and so the Spanish and the English, they'd never experienced pineapple, which is really interesting. You have to think about that. It was about 500 years ago, right? So what happened eventually was the pineapple became this delicacy, this very rare delicacy, and it actually started to adorn the feast tables of different European monarchs and upper class people as this really rare thing, and it would go for as much as $8,000 a fruit. So can you imagine paying that much money for one of these? It's like $2. But what happened was it also began to take on a symbol that was not anything to do with swingers, but actually it became a symbol of hospitality and friendship. So you would actually start to see this in colonial America, where they would actually carve into the lintels and the doorposts of homes and hotels and places like that images of the pineapple. Something that families would do when they were trying to either say welcome to our community or to welcome people. You would actually put this at the top of your feast. You would take it, if you have one of those iron fence posts out in the front of your yard, they would take it and they would impale it on the fence post as a sign of welcome. Come into our home. We're excited that you're here. It was this symbol of hospitality. The hotel industry eventually took the pineapple and started using it as its primary symbol of hospitality. So that's why if you go to like New York and big cities and stuff like that, oftentimes you'll see bed and breakfasts with a picture with a pineapple on the flag hanging out in front of the place. The place that I stayed for my honeymoon was called the Brass Pineapple up there in Charleston, West Virginia. So the pineapple has this. So I thought about starting a website called reclaimthepineapple.com because I know there's a lot of these people that are out there thinking this is a gross type of connotation. But the truth is, it's actually a beautiful symbol of hospitality and friendship. So why would I spend that much time telling you about this as business people? Well, let me tell you, there is a misnomer that's out there that basically says that you and I as business people cannot mix business and friendship. Have you ever heard this phrase before? It's not personal, it's just business, right? But what's the truth about that? Isn't all business personal? Isn't all business something you're dealing with persons? We're dealing with human beings. So I wonder why it is that we have that mentality. I think maybe some of that comes from the fact that maybe there's been some times in your life or my life where we've actually experienced business deals that have gone bad with people that we do. And a lot of times it's because maybe somebody wasn't being fully honest. Maybe integrity was an issue. Maybe authenticity was a problem. I would say my challenge to this is, listen, if you're not a person of integrity, you're not a person of character, if you make a mistake and you're unable to own that mistake and take ownership with and maybe pay for a mistake that you make, then maybe mixing business and friendship is not a good idea. Maybe mixing business and friendship is not something that you should do. But I will tell you this, the truth is that we've got to figure out how to put the personal back into our business. We live in a day and age when people they're tired of impersonal means and strategies of being reached and being stayed in contact with. And I'll tell you, it's something that I struggle with because oftentimes there's a lot of money that is being spent to tell you and me that you need to spend a lot of money on impersonal means of advertising yourself to the people that you're trying to reach. Are y'all tracking with me? There's a lot of money that's being spent to convince you that you need to spend a lot of money on impersonal lead generation technology and that kind of stuff. Now, here's what I'm not saying. Let me tell you a little bit about this. First off, what I'm really trying to say is there's an over-reliance on digital and social channels to generate leads. We're going to hang with me here because I know that the most dominant message in the advertising world for you and your business right now is get on Instagram, get on Facebook, get on the internet, have a digital presence. And I would not disagree with that. I think that's a very important aspect of all of our business. It's the world that we all live in right now, and there needs to be a presence on those social digital channels. But my caveat is, I think we do in our business oftentimes have an over-reliance upon these methods of trying to reach people. If that is your only way to get business, then I feel like it's very possible that maybe you're doing something that might be actually hurting your business. And I'm going to tell you why. We have an overuse of email drip campaigns to communicate with our past and prospective clients. Again, am I saying that you shouldn't have an email drip campaign? No. I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying don't have technology. What I am saying is that we have this over-reliance, overuse, and over-dependence on these methods of trying to keep in touch with our clients. We're not saying don't do digital. I'm just saying don't only do digital. Does that make sense? Are you tracking with me? So what I want to encourage you guys is have a balanced approach to both digital and personal means of communication to our clients. How much time do I have? Total
12:20, unless you don't want any questions.
Okay, we'll roll through this fast. So I wrote this book called The 7 Spheres of the FriendMaker. I'm going to go through the 10 foundational ideas behind this. And if you want some more information about this, we can have another conversation at a different time. I'd love to be able to meet with you individually and share more about how this actually works for you and your business. Something that I am doing, and I've created this as a real estate course for real estate agents for 2-hour CE course credit. But I also really have a vision to see this be something more than just something for real estate agents. I think anybody in any industry can take the principles that I'm going to share with you guys today and actually input this in your business. And I really believe you can build your business on the foundation of friendship. Success is more than just a quick rise to the top. Friendship is the foundation of all good business practices. And again, you'll have to read my book to get a little bit more in depth because I don't have enough time to talk about all this stuff today. You are the most valuable resource you have. I don't make friends to get business. I get business because I make friends. You see, there's a motive piece there. If you're doing something just so you'll get money, then you probably won't end up getting money. But if you end up doing this because you really do love and value people, money is a byproduct of genuine, authentic relationship building in your business. What do you want? Being able to define what it is that you really want for your business, for your family, for your life? Very good question. Your life is like a warm fire. Something I encourage you to do is when you do business with people, when you do life, listen, the world is dark and the world is cold. And the truth is that people are attracted to warm, light places. So be a warm, light place for people that are using and purchasing the products and services that you provide. Be a warm fire. Learn the phrase, I need your help. Be vulnerable with people. Tell people you need their help. Ask for business. Ask for business. Nobody asks. The Bible has a really great verse that says you don't have because you don't ask. If you don't have business right now, the question I have for you is, are you asking for business? Are you actually asking people that are in your sphere, hey, would you send me some referrals? Do you know anybody who might be looking for whatever it is? Yourself. The goal of business is not how many clients can I get, but how many friends can I get. Stop looking at your customers as commodities you can use and start seeing them as community that you can nurture. And finally, he who dies with the most friends wins. The goal of being a friend maker in business is understanding that there's a higher value than money to doing business in your community. But the truth is that when you get to the end of your life, money probably, it'll either be there or it won't be there. But will there be people in your life that are actually standing at your funeral talking about how much you gave of yourself in your lifetime to this community? My encouragement to you is let that be your legacy of business. All right, so I've got like 4 minutes left to share with you a quick synopsis of the 7 Spheres of the Friend Maker. So this book I wrote is called The 7 Spheres of the Friend Maker, and the tagline of the book is called How to Build a Business on Friendship. And the idea behind this book is that it's a story. I wrote it like in the same vein as like The Go-Giver. You ever heard of The Go-Giver by Bob Berg? It's a parable, right? It's a story about a guy who got into business, and he's told about all the things that he needs to do to get business. And most of the things that he's told are pretty impersonal and kind of cold and not much fun for most people. And it just didn't fit him. And then one day he runs into a lady that he knows who's also in business, has been doing business for about 25 years. And he hears her have a conversation with somebody who asks her what she does. And she says, oh, I'm just a friend maker. And what he hears from that is like, well, what's that mean? Are you not in this business anymore? And she said, no, I'm a friend maker. I make friends. And every once in a while, one of my friends will either use me for my service, or my friend will refer me to one of their friends or their family or their coworkers. So the focus on the business part is not, I'm a transactional agent and I just sell homes or whatever it is that you do, but I actually make friends, and as a byproduct of that, I actually get to sell homes. Does that make sense? Pretty cool. Interesting way to look at it. She invites him into a relationship with this guy named Dave Sawyer, who actually teaches this thing called the 7 Spheres of a Friend Maker workshop, and he teaches people the 7 Spheres of a Friend Maker. And this is what the 7 spheres are. When you enter into a relationship with a client, the first thing that you need to do is listen to your client. So it begins at a personal level of just actually being attentive to somebody, listening to your client. Steve Shapiro, network marketing guy, said listening is the language of love. Very, very powerful thought. Learn your client. So after you're listening to your client, now you're learning about who they are. You're getting understanding of your client. So you're attentive, you're understanding. The next sphere is liking your client. The idea behind liking is not about people pleasing. It's really more about finding a way to respect people enough to show them a different way of looking at the world. Rich Lippman, if you've never heard of him, great podcast called One Insight. Rich Lippman's a great coach, business coach. But he says when you help someone see their world differently, their world changes. When someone sees the world differently, they show up differently, and they create results that looked impossible a moment before. You're in the business of inspiring your clients and your customers to do something that they thought prior was impossible for them to do. That's what's showing somebody in the sphere of liking what it means to respect who they are as a human being and to give them an inspiration of how to go on forward. Loyalty is about advocating for people, fighting for your client, showing up for your client. Leaping is about having hard conversations and taking risks for your client, being able to tell them the things that might actually lose you business if you tell them those things. There's moments in my conversations with my clients where I actually have to say, this is the moment where you might lose me as your realtor based on what I'm about to tell you. And then I tell them something that they don't want to hear. And I understand that by having the ability to actually take the risk and have conversations that are hard and tell the truth to people, that it actually endears me to my clients in such a way that they actually want to continue to work with me because I was willing to take the risk to have the hard conversation. Very, very powerful lesson. Erwin McManus, a pastor and business leader out in California, says, if failure is on our inevitable future, then let's fail boldly and fail forward. But whatever happens, let's not hide behind the excuse that we didn't give it everything we had. Perhaps the life we long for is beyond the point of no return. Take risks in your business. There's so much value in that because we can actually show people that we're willing to go the extra mile. Leading is the sixth sphere. The sphere of leadership is the attitude behind that is an attitude of servanthood, service, powerful service of people. The best leaders are servants of other people. And finally, the greatest sphere is the sphere of loving your client long after the sale. And the truth is that there's a statistic I heard years ago about real estate agents that really bothered me. But the truth is that it bothered me so much that I really wanted this to not be true for me. And it was this. Seth Godin actually has a blog out. I don't know if you've ever heard of Seth Godin, but great business guru. Highly recommend anything he's written. In his blog about 12 years ago, he quoted a NAR, National Association of Realtors statistic, and that statistic said that 91% of real estate agents will never call you back once they put you into a home. What that communicated to me in that moment was that most people in business use people as commodities to get what they want out of them, and then they just leave them on the doorstep, and they don't follow up with them, and they communicate to people that they don't care, that they don't genuinely love people. Listen, your clientele need to know that you are not using them just to get something out of them, but that you genuinely want to be in their life, be a voice of value, and actually show them that you actually care about what happens to them long after they purchase your product or your service. They need to know that. And you know what will happen if you actually stay with them long after the sale? There's a phrase in the business world, you probably heard it, the fortune is in the what? The follow-up. Write that down. If you don't know it, write it down. The fortune is in the follow-up. If you're not following up with your clients long after you sell them something, you are missing a lifetime of potential referrals, future business. Follow up and do it consistently. Finally, Brian Buffini, the real estate guru, says take care of existing clients in such a way that they continue to use your services and also others. The person who dies with the most friends wins. And that